the C-shaped house and the treasure chest came into logic as a bunny without the moon pole. Alright, and it looks like we're getting started already. Eriror opting to do a more standard Link's house opening gem, starting from the Sanctuary and immediately picking up Ether. Getting a map check here, all 3 Lightworld dungeons are non-red crystals. Eri going into Hyrule Castle, getting the Uncle item. Gem is going to do Bonkrux, and I expect him to go through a north side sweep here. They already have access to Death Mountain. It is open by logic right now. But I do not expect them to climb up just yet. Silver arrows picked up by Gem in the Bonkrux. It's a nice find, but without the bow, it's not doing a whole lot. Alright, it looks like Aghanim is only holding a capacity upgrade today, so we're not going to be seeing an Aga kill. There may be a weird logical requirement where you're supposed to kill Aga 1 for Darkhold access, but you can sequence break that with a single bottle. To answer the question in chat, not all. Any major glitches that are performed on the Overworld are allowed, except for Exploration Glitch and Blade Bolt. Looks like we're seeing a North Lightfold sweep into Kakariko from both of these players. So worth noting, very nice prize from the tree pulls. 80 rupees for a single kill at pull a tree. That's actually pretty good. Gem going for the bomb that's guaranteed to be under that bonk rock. One of the big deals about starting with boots is that you can always get a bomb there if you need one. Looks like in Blind's Heart we get 20 rupees, arrow capacity, piece of heart, another piece of heart. Does not look very exciting so far. ₹300, however, helps a lot. Zora and various Flippers locations are also in the logic immediately, because you're expected to be able to perform fake flippers. And the bottle with a red goo. Bottles are tools used to perform what's known as a YBA. The most widely known use would be to transition on the same frame as using a blue potion, which pulls up the flute menu even in the Dark World. Overworld basically means that you're not inside a building or a dungeon. Gem tried to find a bomb in any of the open locations in CAG, but unfortunately has to buy some. He can afford it, so it's all fine. Yes, it's worth actually noting that in major glitch modes, Ganon's Tower does not have... we picked up the moon pole in the chicken hut, so we won't be seeing any super trolly sequences leading up to it. It can actually be in the Dark World in various places. So as I was saying, Ganon's Tower does not have a junk pre-fill in this mode. That means that almost all the chests in Ganon's Tower can contain vital progression. Both the players now clearing the Kakariko well. Junk, Moonpearl, and the bottle. Don't forget the bottle. It might come in very handy later, although with the pearl in hand, there's much less need for fake looting around. It's still possibly a very good time save. Also, the red potion allows you to pick up the smiths without the smith frog without the mitts. We'll see if any of the players opt to use that at this point. Cape in the library. Cape is just luxury in this mode. It has no real implications. Yes, as it has been pointed out, both these races are given boots as a starting item. That's because boots are incredibly powerful, allowing you to perform very easy clips, which we are about to see from Gem here. So what he does is dash buffer into a cliff, and if you clip in a certain amount of pixels, you get a teleport if you hold the appropriate inputs. Now, with this teleport, you can either teleport about half a screen up, half a screen down. Gem there opting to teleport half a screen up and then jumps off the cliff. Meanwhile, Eri caught up to the running guy and got a very long text box for it. Right? Gem is taking a dip into desert. Desert also entirely open without any items that are classically required to access it, but you still need a fire source and a consistent weapon to beat that level. You do not need the gloves, however. Eri performing a different variation of the clip into Desert Palace. This one's a downwards teleport, and if he's not careful, he gets thrown back up there. So when you're teleporting, you're actually supposed to hold two directional inputs at the same time. Meanwhile, Gem picking up a sword, very important, and I will tell you soon about it. You are supposed to press two directional inputs at the same time, diagonally into the cliff. Now, if you don't, you get kicked out instead of teleporting. Eri, instead of going into desert, however, now opting to do Southern Light World, a fairly good choice, especially with the rupees. So the importance of the sword and the hookshot by extension is gaining spin speed state, which is commonly seen in NMG seeds as a way to gain super speed, but it has other uses. You can actually clip through diagonal joints in cliffs in certain places, which allows access to descending Death Mountain, for example. Eri picking up a glove from the dam. First glove that we see the seed, and the racers are probably hoping not to see mitts at this point. Very nice bomb double by holding it. Minimodon gave a little more than chunk, however. Gem also about to collect his first glove upgrade. He's going to have a minor advantage going into this southern section because crabs hurt if you cannot dash through them. struggling his way through the top of the hole. Nicely done. Now, Eri is setting up a water walking state by dashing past the hole towards the south, out of the Ice Rod Cave, and I expect Gem will do the same. Now, if he decides to ever jump off a cliff towards the south onto water, he will be running on it. This is entirely in logic for this mode, and he will use this to go all the way to Zora, very likely. Or he's going to go to the Hobo, but he is going to lose his water walking state. He will have to either do the reverse fake flippers or just not continue. It's worth noting that he can regain this state because he has the Moonpo if he enters and exits the Waterfall Fairy Cave. Boots Water Walk. That is correct. Boots Water Walk itself is not in logic, but the ability to fake flipper is. That is due to a glitch in the previous version of the randomizer where Boots Water Walking was not actually functioning properly, so it was removed from the logic and wasn't re-added in the current version. You see him swimming into Waterfall Fairy Cave and then exiting again, and since he has the Moonpo, when he exited, he regained his water walking state. Now, as long as he doesn't bonk or walk onto solid ground or get hit by an enemy, he will be running on top of the water. We are using the V29 Overworld Vicious Logic for this tournament. It looks like the Zora area contained nothing more than 40 rupees and a heart piece for 500 rupees. And 3 bombs. It's actually pretty bad. Right, Eri restarting at Sanctuary. This could... Nope, he's going to the back of Escape with his newfound gloves first. Jeb deciding it's not actually worth the jingle to pick up that piece of heart, and I don't blame him. And in the back of Escape we find the hammer, so we actually have conventional means of Dark World access. We're probably going to see much less major glitches in this seed now, although there's a few I still expect to see. Eri heading into the Dark World. Meanwhile, Gem is going to check Cave 45 and probably with the gloves also checkerboard cave. Getting rid of the guards, and get your resident sleepers ready in chat because we are going into Hype Cave. The lamp. A piece of heart. 20 rupees. 50 rupees. And 20 more rupees. I'll leave it up to you to decide, but it's our first fire source. I think that's pretty good. It also gives them logical, no major glitches access to Death Mountain. And we see a map check here. Green pendant in Skullwoods, red in Turtle Rock, and a blue in Misery Mire. So both of the medallion dungeons actually are pendants in this seed. Gem also about to pick up his hammer. Desert Palace is now absolutely 100% beatable, yes. Looks like Gem is going into the front of Escape, and to finish Uncle. he does have 3 items remaining in there, along with a small key, and he never checked this part because he opened Bit Sanctuary. Green Pendant was Skullwoods. If we get another map check, I'm sorry, I actually missed which were the 5, 6s. Meanwhile, Eri picking up the book in the digging game. I actually missed which dungeons were 5, 6 crystals, but if we find a mirror, it might actually turn out to be irrelevant. Now, Eri is attempting the Desert Palace clip in the Dark World, which will give him access to the Mire area. And I'd like to warn you to cover your eyes now, because if he successfully pulls this off, there is going to be a lot of screen flashing. 5, 6 is Swamp and Ice. Thank you, Ultima. That's not true, Espeon, and you know it. Because Mirror could very well be in Pyramid Fairy optimally, but, well, now they are irrelevant because, yeah, you need the Mirror to get one of the 5, 6 crystals. Right, Eri finishing up his Village of Outcasts checks, and since he has no sword, I'm not actually sure if he will opt to the Thieves down here. He probably will risk it, but he will have a hard time with Blind, as he can only deal damage to the boss with a hammer. Gem picking up Blue Mail from the basement of Hyrule Castle. Very nice find. Seems like that the escape sequence wasn't actually very fruitful, but he did pick up a small key, so he has to go all the way to the sewers if he wants that one last item that's remaining in there. Eri, meanwhile, is clearing at least the front of Thieves Town. Remains to be seen, though, if he wants to go to the back with his current items. He did pick up 3 of the 4 items that are available in the dungeon currently. It seems like he opted not to go. Eri now doing his own escape checks. He will probably make the same journey as Gem did. And Gem restarting from Sanctuary. This could go either into Village of Outcasts from the north or up to Death Mountain, which is very surprising that we haven't seen that yet, considering it's been open from the start. He is going to do it the vanilla way. We don't do this in Overworld glitches. It's actually mildly faster to clip up, but there's... it's perfectly reasonable to do it this way if you have the gloves. The old man reacting, "Here, Link, blow some stuff up." He is now doing a major glitch that we call the Hera clip. This is very commonly an opening for a follow-up major glitch, but of course, if you have Hera available to you and you want to clear it, you just go into Hera. So what happens there is he spin speeds through the edge of the cliff, which allows him to jump off, and while he's midair, he actually passes the bottom of the screen transition, which actually puts him on the top of Death Mountain. Now, it's a weird state when the game wraps like that, because you may find that if you move in the wrong way, the game just decides to completely hardlock you, and you can't even save and quit out of that. But it allows him to reset his global position, which he messed up when he jumped off the mountain by entering a dungeon or a multi-entrance cave, and then everything is fixed. Picking up half magic on his way up to the top of the Tower of Hera, and that's both items, I believe, so he will not need to check the basement. He is opting to use hammer strats for our favorite friend Trolldorm, and he will need to deliver 3 hits and not deal with a super fast phase. Meanwhile, Eri is finishing up the basement of the castle. Sorry, the sewers of the castle. The basement is the basement itself. I'm opting to check Spectacle Rock Cave, and that should conclude his West Death Mountain checks for now. Book was in the digging game. Jagm has not yet been to the southern Dark World. Eri has. Which could have proven as an advantage to Eri, who is also doing vanilla Death Mountain Ascent. And now Jam is doing what we call a Death Mountain Descent. You put yourself on the screen transition by jumping off at spin speed and then dashing up, which will bonk you on the exact spot where you stop on the transition. Now, if you press down after that, you will gain an auto state. In this state, you have no control over Link, who will move down about half a screen into the next transition. To answer the question in chat, yes. Ice Palace can be accessed by using a mirror wrap. Mirror wraps essentially put you half a screen towards the direction of the wrap. It is a very spectacular glitch if done right, and I hope that we will see it from these races. It is not in logic, however, to do it. So the logic still expects you to have mitts to enter Ice Palace, but mitts is completely optional in Overworld glitches if you know what you're doing. The sword was in Desert Palace in the Popo room. Gem clearing the front of Skull Woods, not gaining too much value from it just yet. Opting to go to the back. He cannot go all the way to the Moth, so he will not get both items as far as I've seen. But since it's a pendant, he's not too worried about having to double dip this area. There are 2 ways to access the smiths with mirror only. One of them involves using mirror jumps, which is a fairly difficult frame perfect trick, and the optimal mirror jump way expects you to use it multiple times. Now, there's another one which involves a screen wrap, and then mirroring in a spot, and then either fluting or death warping, which is much easier and less problematic. There's also a blue or red YBA that you can do with a bottle to displace your overworld collision and allow you to just walk through the cliffs and pick up the Smith frog without a problem. Did I not say green or red? I may have said other colors. Green or red YBAs are equivalent in the overworld. Eri now doing a East Death Mountain clip, which I'm actually wondering about because he has the hammer. I think it's just easier to cross the bridge up from Hera. But what you essentially do is you clip into the cliff to the right side here, perform a downwards teleport, which will put you on the side of the cliff, and then you do half circle motions to struggle your way up. And then there's this very convenient land bridge that just exists for some reason, and you can just cross it and then jump off the cliff, and now you're on East Death Mountain. So to answer the question in chat, this is Game 2, and unfortunately I do not know who won Game 1. I'll ask around in a moment. Eri now doing Spiral Cave, which I believe is the first time we see that, and Jem doing the back of Thief's Town. He is much more comfortable doing this, having Blue Mail already and the sword. Eri now in Paradox Cave, once again the first time we see this. He picks up the Sphagnet, however, which is a lot more useful when you don't have Boom Pearl, but still very swag. Unfortunately, these races are on SRTV, not SRL, so we cannot even check the race results there. Jem getting the 4th item from Thief's Town, which is another piece of junk, but at least he doesn't have to do the big chest. Eri won by 6 minutes, so this is a Game 2 where Eri is up 1 point, and it is a best of 3. Jem now heading into the blind fight. Meanwhile, Eri is probably about to enter the Dark World by clipping on top of Turtle Rock, and then all you have to do is hammer down the pegs, and you have a Dark World portal. This is another one of those downwards teleports. A pretty much on-script fight from Jem, very nicely executed. The medallion required to enter Turtle Rock appears to be Ether. Now, the front door of Turtle Rock doesn't necessarily have to be opened to actually clear the dungeon, and it is a pendant, so I do not expect our racers to be very enthusiastic about going in there. But if you misuse your keys, you may be forced to open it. Finishing up his Village of Outcast checks, Jem is about to head south and probably get his book. Eri, in the meantime, clearing Super Bunny Cave. Probably checking the first chest in Hookshot Cave, but if he can hover, he can get all 4 of them. I should stop to mention that this is the God digging game. For this seed, you only needed to dig once to get the item. Eri now performing what is known as the catfish flip. By jumping off where he is clipping, he will land on the transition and he will auto-walk down the catfish area. Jem about to pick up his lamp, should be very happy to see a fire source. Now, interestingly enough, in the normal open/standard seas that you see, if you die in a Darkworld dungeon, it is patched out that you would enter the fake Darkworld. Now, in the vanilla game, if you haven't beaten Aghanim 1 and die in a Darkworld dungeon, you will get into a fake Darkworld screen, which means you are in the light world, but for that Overworld screen, you're actually in the Darkworld. So what Jem could do at this spot is head back to Village of Outcasts, die in Thieves Town, which puts him in the fake Darkworld, and then transition, which puts him in the light world. First, he is opting to check the mire area. Sorry, yes, in a no major glitches mode. To answer the question in a chat, water walking with a moon pearl, so the non-boot setup is actually in the logic. It is only water walking with boots that is not in logic. Right, it looks like Eri is headed back to Desert. This should get him his first sword as well as his second crystal. Jem meanwhile performing another Hera clip, and he is resetting his camera by entering the Tower of Hera, so I expect this to be going to Dark Death Mountain. But first, the Ether Tablet. Well, in that case, he could be headed to Ganon's Tower. That is a valid reason to reset your camera. So, if you don't reset your camera, you can still enter the Darkworld portal that's right below you, but you'll still have the messed up camera. And that's not useful in many cases, but it doesn't really matter for clipping into Ganon's Tower, and it is actually required for clipping into Pyramid Ferry. So both of these races now doing areas that the other racer has already done. Eri did skip the right side of Desert. That is going to be fairly inconvenient for him, although if he knows how to do lamb molars with bombs or hammer, it's actually sort of better than having a fighter sword, because both slashes and spins with the fighter sword do less damage, or do the same damage and significantly less than say master spins or hammer hits. Key dashing does not have the same requirements as hammer dashing. Key dashing only needs you to be on a multiple of 4 pixels away from the destination, the door. Otherwise, you will bunk. Eri making quick work of Lamo after initial struggles with the hammer, actually. Missing a hit there, but he is very close. He is down to the very last head, and he gets it. With the hammer, you only need to land 4 hits on each head to actually get the kill. I think? Yeah, it is 4 hits. Getting his second crystal and a dungeon item to go with it. Gem is trying to clip up to the pegs on top of Turtle Rock, but for that you need to be on the 3rd bump from the bottom, not the 4th. There, he gets it. Eri finally about to pick up his sword, and I'm sure he's going to be very happy about seeing it. He might even present us with some excitement slashes after that Lambo fight. Nope, completely unfazed. Exceptionally professional. Gem headed into Hookshot Cave. Let's see if he hovers the rest of the chests. Did feel like he was setting up to. Yes, he is going to attempt it. Unfortunately, he falls and he will not retry. Opening Turtle Rock and activating Flute and Overworld glitches does have its uses for speeding up things, but generally you get Flute so late that it's not worth activating it, and Turtle Rock, well, you can just do completely backwards. He is about to get his big 20 from the catfish, and he says no. Meanwhile, Eri is going to check the Bombos tablet, so this is the first time that we see that particular item. And even then, he cannot actually pick it up, only know what it is. Gem is now going to perform a clip to Palace of Darkness from this bit. Very nicely executed. So this puts him very close to the entrance. It actually skips a whole lot of the maze. He is opting to dip Palace of Darkness without the bow. Let's see if this actually leads to anything. This very first chest could decide that the dungeon is actually bow-locked, but he does have a potion to resolve that. It is not bow-locked, so we will see him venture further in. Yes, and I completely phased out, but apparently we saw the hookshot on the Bombos tablet. Eri performing a hero clip now. Let's see where he takes this. I think he hasn't checked the ether tablet yet, so that would be one thing that he wants to do with this. Finding that it's only couch cash, and moving right along. He is entering the Dark Hold. This could be a Dark Hold descent, but I actually think that he doesn't have too many things open now. Yes, he is going to dip into Spike Cave, and since he has the cape and half magic, he might even come back out and dip Ganon's Tower after this. Gem is going into the basement, so he is going to perform a minor glitch. Oh, we pick up the Bombos medallion in Spike Cave. He is performing a camera glitch by using a bottle on the same frame he is moving left there. He is actually unlocking his camera, and by not hitting the side, he can keep this state and just walk the red mimic off screen, which is the only thing that the game checks for, is the mimic on the screen. If it's not, well, it's time to open the door. This was a minor glitch that was, I believe, discovered earlier this year, or classified as minor earlier this year. There are a lot more applications to that glitch, but it is all major and not allowed in NMG and Overworld glitches modes. Having a little bit of trouble with the bonk that leads him back to the bridge chest. He is opting to do it in a less fancy way. Meanwhile, Eri journeying into the left side of Ganon's Tower. Yeah, I'm picking up all the small keys that are available in pod. Eri, without the hookshot, is forced to either bomb jump or hover 2 gaps. And Gem finding the red cane in Palace of Darkness, as well as Bacon. Those are some very nice fights. Meanwhile, in Stalfos' room, we see, well, so far, a piece of heart and 20 rupees. And some keys. And I also believe Gem picked up another sword upgrade in Palace of Darkness, because I think he only had Fighter Sword entering. And we find the flute in Ganon's Tower, which is a eerily common occurrence in this mode, using some boomerang strats to skip bombing or using cane for those switches. Unfortunately, I don't know if it works with the red boomerang for these switches. Nope, he has to retry. Flute is entirely a convenience item in this mode. There is no real required use for it. Gem resetting the camera after performing a hero clip. I wonder what he plans to do with this. He did just pick up the red cane, so he could opt to go Turtle Rock. No, he is going into Spike Cave first. You do not need to reset your camera to do this. It's just that after you come out of Spike Cave, your camera will still be broken. Picking up his Bombos medallion, and he opts to go no further. It's an interesting decision, because with various sequence breaks, you can complete both the left and right side of GT with his item set. Eri heading to the very back of Ganon's Tower. Meanwhile, Gem is clipping into the desert area. I think he has already checked Checkerboard Cave, so this is most certainly going to the Lammo Crystal. Eric is actually very low on equipment for an almost fight. It is unusual to see, but I think his best option at this point is going to be the fighter sword, which is going to be agonizingly slow. The hammer actually does more damage to almost knights, but it has this terrible hitbox issue. You're probably just better off slashing your fighter sword, and it is important that you slash it because a master sword actually does half damage to almost knights compared to a fighter sword. Meanwhile, Gem making very quick work of land molars with his Stampede. Gem picking up his third crystal, and Eri clearing the bottom of GT and picks up Mirror. It is a required find in this mode if Swamp Palace is required, or if your Moon Pearl is in Dark World. Otherwise, it is mostly a convenience item. It also enables out-of-logic mirror wraps, however, which speed up certain things a lot. The Eri is going to reset his camera with that, so he is not opting to use it for the Pyramid Fairy clip. I wonder what he plans to do. Gem picking up his hookshot from the Bombos tablet. He is descending Death Mountain. So this could just be a vanilla way to access the Graveyard Ledge. Yes, it is. And couple it with King's Tomb. I guess it makes sense. Slightly faster to do both at the same time if you have Mirror this way. Gem also reset his camera. Now with Cane in hand, he seems to be... Oh no, he did an upwards teleport. You cannot escape from that situation. He has to save and quit. But I believe he is attempting to enter Turtle Rock here. Seeing a fair bit of divergence in the routing of these races right now. It is interesting to note that while Eri entered the Graveyard Ledge normal way, there is actually a clip that is in logic with only hookshot or a sword that is fairly easy to master and gets you to Graveyard Ledge from the mountain cave in a very short amount of time. Gem performing the East Death Mountain clip in the same way that he performed it in the Light World, except now in the Dark World, and he enters Hookshot Cave to, of course, get the remaining 3 chests with his newfound hookshot. And he finds the Cane of Brian and the Fire Rod in there. So that was a very, very worthwhile trip. Does not seem to be interested to enter Turtle Rock with these items, though. Meanwhile, Eri is opting to clear out the back of Thieves Town, and Gem is going finally into Ganon's Tower. With the 2 bomb jumps on the left side and the Fire Rod in hand, so no sequence break for the right side, he should be able to get his mirror and the big key, which we now know is somewhere in the Bright Side 5 chests. One of our players did not decide to kill Bob. So to respond to the discussion in chat, for Go mode we are looking at an unknown bow for Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness. Of course, the mirror and the hookshot that our players respectively missing, but we know where it is. And the Maya Medallion, which I believe we saw but didn't pay enough attention. And the Fire Rod was logically required, because we know that the big key of Ganonsta is on the right side. But if you know the setup, there is a bomb jump that lets you skip Fire Rod for it and use Lamp instead. And yes, we also need flippers, which we haven't seen yet at all. And it is indeed the least blocking item in the entire mode, because it only unlocks the swamp for you, no matter what the situation is. Although in the current logic, it also unlocks Waterfall Ferry if Moonpool is not to be found, so might indicate value there. Eri going a bit off script there, but still executes a very efficient blind fight and picks up his third crystal, so we are now even on crystals, and effectively even on progression items as well. Eri is now actually activating his flute. He feels like he needs it. Not sure I agree with this decision, but it does make Overworld Trevor a bit more efficient, and Gem demonstrating Cane of Burner Ice Almost fight. There's a lot of lag, there's a lot of jumping Almost Knights, but it is probably one of the most efficient ways to kill. Very nicely done. He is getting his mirror now, and I expect that he will go to the right side of Ganonsta after this. If he gets the bow there, he could also go and clear the upper section. I blinked and I missed it. Someone tell me what the Maya Medallion is. I think I saw Quake. Nope, he's going to open it, so it wasn't Quake. It's Ether, so we do not need a Maya Medallion if there's progression in Maya. In the back of Ganon's, the right side of Ganon's now, we find the big key and nothing else. So we're probably not going to see an OWG clear right now, because that would involve major glitches. Meanwhile, Eri opting to dip Pendant Maya. Gem is going back to check the big chest of Ganonsta, which he couldn't check before because he didn't pick up the big key. It could still be the bow. But it's only a fake clue. Meanwhile, Eri making progress in the front of Misery Maya, having picked up a small key from the first chest and a map from the second one. And after 55 minutes and 30 seconds or so, we are getting our first Sahashala check. This closet is notoriously difficult to route in Overworld glitches. There is just so many things open to you that 3 chests are hardly worth it. And rightly so, because it turns out to be 40 rupees and 10 arrows. Eri picking up the 4th sword from Misery Maya, so he finally will be able to collect his hookshot. Well, Gem doing another hair clip and resetting his camera. So this could very well go into Turtle Rock at this point. And with the mirror, we might even see a mirror wrap. Eri, I believe, found both items in Misery Maya because he has opted to leave. Alright, so Gem is in the correct position to perform the wrap, but instead opts to do the clip in the center instead. And to clear Mimic Cave. Eri finally picking up his hookshot, so he might opt to go to Hookshot Cave and get his Fire Rod at this point in time. He is not resetting his camera, which probably means he is going to do the Pyramid Fairy clip. However, he picks up a bush. That is not a complete soft lock. You cannot use any items in this state, but if you jump off the cliff and enter Spike Cave, you will be fine. Unfortunately, he does not know this, so he has to save and quit. Yes, Hookshot Cave was Cane of Brian and Fire Rod. Eri trying again without dashing. So it's important to note, meanwhile, Gem picking up the shovel in that. Which is bush. Testing, testing. Hello. Alright, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. We are having some minor technical issues with the voice. So, as I was saying, your global position is actually in the Hyrule Castle courtyard. And when you mirror, your global position is what is taken into account. And to answer the things that came up in chat, you only need to enter the Old Man Cave after a Pyramid Fairy clip to reset your camera if you're not opting to use the flute. The flute is one of the tools that can be used to reset your camera. So, in the meantime, Jem picked up the mitts from the front of Turtle Rock, which is something that you don't really want to see, but I guess Ice Palace is a crystal, so it's not all that bad. And we also find the flippers, a hard required item if you need to go into Swamp Palace. And with that, he has found all of the items in Turtle Rock and opts to leave. So at this point, I expect that he'll make a play on either Swamp Palace or Ice Palace. We're about to see which one. And we are only missing Bo from entering the no mode and, in Jem's case, go mode. Meanwhile, Eri also making the Turtle Rock play, and this should get him closer to the mitts and the flippers. Jem is opting to do Swamp Palace. Where is Kain indeed? Kain is in Palace of Darkness, and you are right. Without the Kain, he won't be able to get to either the mitts or the flippers from this position. However, he does have the mirror and the Ether Medallions. The Ether Medallion doesn't help a lot if you cannot hover, but the mirror could actually get you all the way to Laser Bridge, and for the flippers, you can pick it up. That is a minor glitch, don't worry about it. There is a bonk that you can do in the big chest entrance of Turtle Rock. That lets you get through the barrier. It is a minor underworld glitch, and it is allowed in any of the modes. You do not regularly see it in No Mage Glitches Open or Standard modes, because when do you really want to go backwards from the big chest? Eri finds to his disappointment that the Red Cane isn't here, and unfortunately he is falling further behind unless he opts to either pick up the Cane from Palace of Darkness or make an Ice Palace play and possibly lock out with Bo. Which would, of course, put him back on the right path. In the next spot, he only finds 20 rupees, so he is very excited about that and opts to make the play that he really didn't want to. He could gamble Ice Palace without the mitts. You can use a mirror wrap that is allowed, but not logically expected to get into Ice Palace only using the mirror, and he has the tools required to actually clear it. They do! They have 1,706 rupees, both of them, on the dot. We are 1 hour and 4 minutes into race, and somehow they ended up with the same rupee total. That is amazing. Right, Jem is headed straight to the back of Swamp Palace. He did find the compass, so we know that there's at least one item on the left side. I'm not sure if we've seen the map, but I believe we did. And with the big key in hand, I think he'll just have 3 items remaining in here. Opting to do the hook dash strats for Argus, which is a very fast 0 cycle. Perfectly executed. Almost getting the double fire rod hit and spin, but unfortunately he misses just by a few frames, but still very efficiently executed Argus fight. And he is headed back. I think there are 3 items remaining in here right now, so this is definitely something he didn't want to, but kind of has to. Fortunately, in V29, most of the pulls actually remain pulled, except the one that has the potential to flood the key. And we pick up the Ice Rod. This could very well go back to Krynex, possibly. We found the troll item, but it unfortunately was the wrong troll item. No, you know what? You're right. I think with the key layout of the 2 small keys on the right side of Palace of Darkness, the cane was bow-locked, which would mean that the pedestal cannot have the bow. This is sort of hypothetical, but I think the pedestal is dead. No, it was not. 1, 2, 3. No, the cane is not bow locked. The cane is not bow locked, so bow could still be on pedestal at this point, which would mean that the ice rod could potentially be useful. Gem leaving Swamp Palace without the sought after D, and he is probably going to go to Ice Palace next. Makes sense, you just want to clear crystals at this point. Eri now doing a hair clip and not resetting his camera, so this is probably going to the right side of Ganon's tower. Meanwhile, Jim entering Ice Palace. Very nice double slash in there. Or double spin, sorry. Eri opting to skip the towel room for now. This is interesting. I think we know that the towel room has to be a small key, and I think he can deduce this as well. Gem now attempting the Ice Palace bomb jump and gets it first try. Very nice. I'm going back on the spikes in the hopes of that particular chest containing the bow. It would have been a fairly nice time save if it was. And Eri picking up his fake flute and deciding to save and quit out of Afghanistan makes sense. No need to do Town Room. Gem picking up his red mail from Ice Palace. Eri doing another hair clip and resetting his camera. I do believe he is now opting to head to Turtle Rock. He could do a mirror wrap, which will get him to the flippers very fast, and he might actually decide to go to Swamp after that. We will see if he decides to do the wrap first, though. He is also opting to enter Turtle Rock through the center entrance. Meanwhile, Gem picking up another big 20 from Ice Palace. I think that at this point he has at least one small key remaining that is chest bound, but I don't actually think the bow's here. Nope, he got all 3 items, so that means the bow is also not in Ice Palace. We are running very low on remaining checks. We haven't seen any of Eastern Palace. We haven't read the pedestal yet. We haven't been to the back of School Woods, and of course the Green Pendant. So there's certainly less appealing options in play here. With the myths, also the Smith Chain is in logic, and that entire area, I believe, at this point is untouched. Making very quick work of Cold Stare and picking up his 5th crystal. And a map to go with it. Eri, in the meantime, picking up his myths. Yes, Zora has been checked, and it was only a half piece. Sahashala was 40 rupees and 10 arrows. But neither runner actually opted to go into Eastern Palace after that. Alright, which one of those unappealing options are you going to go for, Gem? Let's see. I don't believe he has checked the dig spot yet, so I think that's going to be his first check. Eri having a bit of trouble with the crushes, but makes it through. Gem is entering the Dark World, and considering there's not much left for him to do in the area, this is probably going to... Oh no, he's actually going to do the Pyramid Fairy the vanilla way. Despite having the mirror. Yes, both the runners have the shovel. He is going to do a double transition, and if he nails the timing, and he did, if he transitions when the big bomb clock is still at 0 but hasn't exploded yet, he will just dupe his bomb. Eri, in the meantime, picking up his flippers from Turtle Rock, and he is opting to check the last chest, which is a small key, as we know. There may be an item left in Turtle Rock, actually, but Gem knew it was a small key, so he didn't go for it, because he knew he couldn't do Trinex. With that, I believe Gem is going to hookshot over and check out King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge, which he hasn't done yet, but Eri has. And Eri is going to go to Swamp Palace or Ice Palace from here. Either one works. He's probably going to clear both and find the bow, and neither. They have done Zora. Zora was a heart piece. There are at least 4 pickups in the game, which yield 300 rupees, so they have been collecting rupees. Once again, both my runners doing various locations that the other one has done already. Eri might be able to save some time in Swamp Palace if he opts to go to the left side first compared to Gem, but I doubt he will make that decision because it's just so appealing that the bow would be in the back and you don't have to search for any of the items anymore. It can be noted that both the runners are just a bow away from being in the go mode, and they know it. Gem is actually activating his flute. He feels like he might need it, and I don't blame him. And with that, I believe this is the first time that we will see the Smith chain. He will do 3 item locations here. He has no tools to currently do the Bat Cave. Very effectively getting his way through the Hammer Dash tutorial section, but only gets a heart container for it, which he does not want. In the meantime, Eri is entering the bottom side of the Swamp Palace. He has opted to skip the left side. We'll see if he decides to go back, maybe rectify this mistake with the big key, but still very attractive to just go and kill Argus. This is the final item from the Smith chain, so let's see if the purple chest hides the bow. It does not. The options get less and less appealing at this point. And he decides to go to Misery Maya. We already know that this will get him his golden sword, and I believe the other item was junk. Well, Eri doing a very nice poke dash strat on Argus, but he did not get the cycle skip. So he will have to wait for Argus to land. Eri picking up his 4th crystal 1 hour and 21 minutes into this slightly unfortunate seed. He is heading back into Swamp to check his 3 items, which we know won't be the bow. Meanwhile, Gem picking up his Smoky and about to get his map from the standard route of Misery Maya. At this point, I cannot help but think that either Bow has been sitting in its vanilla spot all this time, or we have been slacking on that pedestal check. It is very possible that it would be there. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see Gem going all the way to Vitreous despite getting his 2 items in the front. It is very easy to forget that Eastern Palace even exists, and it is much lower value in this mode. Nope, Gem says, I am not going to make the pedestal play. Leaves with his 2 items. He has cleared Turtle Rock, he has cleared Misery Maya. I'm actually not 100% confident that we saw all 5 items from Turtle Rock. I think we only saw 4. But he is going to go and check his remaining item in Skullwoods and get his green pendant. Possibly even pedestal check. Meanwhile, Eri headbanging to the Overworld music that plays here while expecting his bird. But then he realizes he's been bonked back to the Dark Vault before he actually gets a pickup. Eri also making the Skullwoods play. He really does not want to do that Ice Palace dip in a non-go mode state. Let's see if this pays out for these runners. I think at this point they might just be eager to read what's on the pedestal. Oh no, I think Eri may never have dipped Skullwoods before. Or the middle and backside of it. The backside obviously he couldn't because he didn't have the fire rod, but he never has been to the middle. Gem making extremely quick work of the moth. It doesn't even give her breathing room. Gets a piece of heart, so I believe that's the second item. Pulls out the mirror, ready to check the pedestal, and gets that green pendant. At this point, I think it's just the right play to get to Skull Woods. If you have a bow on Sahasrara, you want to be able to check Eastern Palace at the same time as that pendant. Alright, chat, here it comes. And it's a bomb capacity upgrade. The pedestal is officially dead. So, then I am a lot more eager to believe that this whole time Bo has been sitting in Eastern Palace, hopefully in the big chest, just for extra satisfaction. Gem bringing a very optimistic Dark World with him. I think he knows that he has to be picking up Bo at this point. And this will allow him to clear Eastern Palace and Palace Darkness in one very easy dip. Getting the Quake Medallion from the Green Pendant, which, as we know, was completely useless in this seed. Eri, in the meantime, finds that there is no second item in the back of Skull Woods. He will have to do the front. Although, as we know, it's not actually worth it. Both of the runners making a play on Eastern Palace now. Eri, little less sure, not actually bringing a Darkhold portal with him. If the bow actually turns out to be here, he is going to regret this decision. Gets his extremely useful Quake Medallion. So far we've seen the big key and a map from Eastern Palace, so the excitement and the tension builds. I believe the GT tile room is a small key, and I think Gem checked that he had one extra small key compared to Eri when he finished out with the big chest. And there is the vanilla bow, so at 1 hour and 28 minutes we have finally entered go mode. It just had to be. So at this point, we're going to see a slightly more usual seed completion. Both of these runners will pick up their bow, finish their remaining crystals, and then beat Agatu. But in Overworld Glitches mode, it is optional to have 7 crystals to enter Ganon's Tower, and by extension, beat Agatu. So you could open the Ganon fight much earlier, but Ganon doesn't actually allow you to beat him, so to say, unless you have the 7 crystals and Aghanim to beat him. Gem making very quick work of Armos Knights, picking up his 6th crystal and about to enter the Darkhold portal Palace of Darkness, where he just has to head to the back. I will have to ask him in the post-game interview if there was an item remaining in Turtle Rock. I don't think we paid enough attention, but I have a slight suspicion that Trinex was holding something. I think Gem's lead in general came from the fact that he finished the front of Desert while Eri failed to do the clip and decided to save and quit instead, which got Gem a sword. So he could use that to not double their thieves down while Eri decided to double dip instead. He was not comfortable with the blind fight with hammer only. Cannot blame him for that. It is a very hard fight when you only have green mail, 7 hearts, and the hammer. I think that's where the bulk of the difference came from these races. There were no real major routing errors on either side. It's just the unfortunate coincidence that the required item or the convenient item was not in one race's hand at the time. Blink and you miss it, Gem delivering 17 hammer hits to Helmsor's head, and then finishing him off with 2 very fast Butter Sword slashes. Gets +5 arrows for his troubles. The bow was vanilla. And with that, Gem has all 7 of his crystals, so this is where we would play the Gansauer-Vicky guessing game. And if you guessed 20, then you were correct. Gem opting to do one final major glitch in this seed, the Ganon's Tower clip, which will get him into Ganon's Tower much faster than if you opened it up with crystals, but he is getting stuck on the clip there. Yes, he did have the big key from the right side. I see 120 in chat, and it is correct. No, because when Gem went there and picked up his big key, he did do the tunnel room, I believe. I could be wrong, but let's say it was 20 for the sake of consistency. Eri making quick work of Helmsor King as well. About to pick up his 6th crystal while Gem is ascending the gauntlet. He has everything that he needs. Red Mail, Mirror Shield, Butter Sword, Half Magic, Silver Arrows. This should be a very clean, very fast gauntlet. As far as clearing the seed goes, these races pretty much 100%ed it. I think Eri has a slightly less collection rate ahead of him because he did not clear Ice Palace, while Gem opted to do a full clear, but otherwise, pretty much both of these races did pretty much everything. Gem missing the 3rd silver arrow on the Lambo 2 fight, but still gets a very quick 2 cycle. You do not really learn to appreciate how good these cane strats for the upper room Wizrobes are until you are forced to up a GT without it. Eri, meanwhile, entering Ice Palace, and he will not open a single chest, I can tell you that. Which means he will skip out on Red Mill. And I'm sure that he does not need it. To answer the question in chat, Ganon's Tower is only part of the completion goal. You actually have to beat Ganon himself, and the randomizer is coded in a way that Ganon does not become vulnerable in the final phase of the fight unless you have collected all 7 crystals and beaten Ganon's Tower. Gem now on the Trolldorn 2 fight, having a little trouble slashing the tail, but he only needs to deliver 2 slashes, and there it goes. Getting a little bit of fake hover hype there, but he will hookshot across that gap. Getting a very nice triple on the first cycle of the Aghanim 2 fight. See if he can get another. Unfortunately gets hit. Misses his triple setup. Another double, so one more hit and Aghanim 2 goes down. And there he goes. Gem expressing his excitement for this fantastic seed by hookshotting the dead body of Aghanim a couple more times. Meanwhile, Eri making very quick work of Colset does not even escape the corner. And we are entering the Ganon fight on Gem's side. He has collected all the crystals and has beaten Aghanim 2. The pig is vulnerable. Already through to phase 2. Opting to do dash strats. And that should already be enough. He is now in phase 3. Poking Ganon with his sword in this phase because the damage you do doesn't really matter. Very nicely getting the the torch glitch with the fire rod, but only manages to double afterwards. And there's the 4th hit. All he has to do now is enter the door. And that is Gem finishing this seed with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 39 minutes and 17 seconds. We'll see if we can get him in here for an interview, and in the meantime, Eri is ascending Ganon's Tower as well. Right, it seems like he is going to join up in a moment here. Hi, Gem. GG.
Hello, thanks.
So, what were your thoughts on that fantastic bow location?
I'm out. That's what I thought.
Funnily enough, neither of you actually decided to dip Eastern Palace after doing Sahashala, so I imagine both of you must have felt a little bit behind when you picked that up.
Yeah, not just a little bit. Yeah, especially since yesterday Eri did EP relatively early, I think. At least from what he said. I haven't watched back the match yet. So I just assumed that he would do it early again. So I figured I had already lost, but yeah.
So, you guys were pretty much head-to-head in crystals for the entire race. It was actually kind of close for a long time, but Eri did not opt to do the Desert Palace clip, and then he went to Thieves Town without a sword. Decided not to finish it. I think that's where a big part of your lead came from.
Oh, I see.
So, what were your feelings on that seed in general?
I liked it. It gave me an early sword. It's what I want most in Overworld glitches. And
So,
yeah, it didn't require any weird stuff, so I was happy.
No hard feelings about having to clear pretty much all of the pendant dungeons.
Well, yeah, the bow location sucks. Like, bow and EP always sucks. I think I usually last location there. Yeah, but other than that, I really liked the suit. It was fun.
Alright, so that means you guys are now tied 1-1, and we'll have a match 3.
Yeah.
When is that scheduled?
Tomorrow, same time.
Alright, cool. Looking forward to watching that. In the meantime, Eri has gone through Mordor 2 and is now entering the upper parts, the very top of Ganon's Tower. Looking to fight Aghanim 2 and beat the pig. Oh, that was a very useful powder location, wasn't it? So apparently, you didn't open the validation chest, but there was the powder. Ooh, double, triple. Very nicely executed.
Yeah, I guess it had to be upstairs or in Vanilla Big Key and EP, because those were the only 5 locations I hadn't checked.
I was going to ask, so you did leave Laser Bridge without picking up the obvious Smoky, but we didn't particularly count the items properly, so was there an item remaining on Trinex?
Nope.
Nope, okay. So in that case, you went into Eastern Palace knowing that it had to be the bow.
Yeah, had to be there on Saha. Or I messed up in GT and Tyroom didn't have a small key. That was on my mind the entire time.
Oh, you didn't do Tal Room either. I assumed you did because I thought you had an extra small key compared to Eri when you guys did it, but both of you have opted to skip it, and I think correctly, I think it was a small key.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because there was a small key in the 4 right side chests. So I think that means there could have been an item in Tyroom.
Interesting. Well, that could have been...
Sure.
That could have been a problem for both of you. As I said, both of you then opted to skip the Tal Room entirely, so it would have been the very last thing you do. Although for Eri, he actually picked up his bow before Ice Palace. He went to Skullwoods and then to Eastern without clearing ice, and well, I think it's an interesting decision, but it definitely worked out in his favor. Made up a little time on it. Unfortunately, not enough to catch up. Or fortunately for you.
Yeah.
Right, Eri entering the Ganon fight for the second time. The first time he decided to walk into Ganon, hug him, and then respawn.
Yeah, dying to Ganon in Overworld just sucks. Because you don't spawn on the pyramid.
I was always wondering about that. Is that just because it's vanilla behavior?
Yeah, I think it's because of that.
And there's been a lot of like fake rolls that got patched that caught me off guard when I first got into the mode. I did not know until, well, I guess now that the respawn at the Ganon Hall was also Rando Edition.
Yep. Well, in vanilla you usually have Agon and Beat, so that would spawn you on the pyramid because you died in Dark World. But
Fair
in Rando
enough.
you usually don't beat him, so it respawns you, well, in the other 3 places.
Meanwhile, Eri missing the torch glitch, and oh no! Ganon decided to teleport on top of him, and he's taking another death.
Oh no.
He is expressing his gratitude to Ganon by pulling on the bottom of the cliff while his Uber arrives. Any other thoughts you would like to share on the seed while we have a little bit of downtime here?
Well, I kind of want to emphasize again how much I like an early Sword and Overworld glitches, I guess. So that made this seed really fun.
I can absolutely resonate with that thought. Considering things that are fairly dangerous, like the Southern Lightfold and Death Mountain being the logic early, there's a lot of potential to take damage without the sword. It's very nice to have that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and in general, if you have boots, then not having a sword makes dashing everywhere just really awkward.
Right, because you have to stop at every enemy. Without a sword, you'll just otherwise bonk into it and, well, die. Not fun.
Not fun at all.
You didn't have to do a whole lot of major glitches in this seed. You actually opted to do a whole lot of things the vanilla way. You had conventional means of Dark World access, you had conventional means of East, Death Mountain access, even though Heracrypt itself wasn't particularly conventional.
Yeah, even Old Man I did the normal way.
Yeah, we were very disgusted at that, and you both opted to do that.
Yeah, I think it's faster than doing DMA. I'm not sure.
I'll leave you to discuss that one with Espeon.
Well, if someone proves to me it's not, I'll gladly do DMA next time.
In the meantime, Eri making a quick work of Ganon finally in his Ganon fight, so all he has to do now is successfully enter the door. He shall be done. And there it is. He finishes with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 2 seconds. GG to him as well, and we'll see if we can get him in for an interview as well. Hello, hello.
Yo.
So I assume you heard a fair bit of that. You guys got well, essentially trolled in the same way for the most part.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting too, because after pod, I was considering going to Eastern, but I was like, well, the chance that there's something in there isn't that big. I just thought Kane that unlocks Right Side GT and Turtle Rock. And well, I know Jem likes skipping Eastern, so if I do it for nothing, then I am even more behind.
So
but
it
yeah.
was the one seed where that decision didn't really pay off.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'm glad you know about my skipping habits.
So, what at what point did you really start feeling behind?
I guess after pod mostly. Before that, well, I mean, I did a whole lot of Overworld before going to pod, and it all had nothing. So once I found Gain in there, after already having gone to Turok before that, and having done like other stuff, like most definitely all the GT stuff as well with Fire Sword and no hookshot, that was not very pretty. But mostly after that stuff, I knew that it probably wasn't going to end up very well.
So you were the first one to pick up the mirror with that play, and that could have potentially paid off a lot if Bo wasn't this absolutely terrible. Neither of you did really seem to put it to super good use, though. I expected more mirror wrapping.
Well, yeah, I mean, once you find the mids as well, I'm not sure. Like, mirror wrapping to eyes doesn't really do that much. We didn't need to go back to Turtle Rock after a point. And mirror otherwise doesn't have that many uses, like location-wise. It doesn't really open up anything.
That is definitely fair. I was only mostly referring to the wraps, because I was wondering if we'd potentially see a play where you wrap into the laser bridge, and at that point we already knew where that the flippers were there if you would leave Turtle Rock on the spot and go check some crystal dungeons.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I may or may not have needed the big key, so I just usually grab that first, and then I can go all the way to the back.
That is absolutely fair.
Yeah, that lets you check the big chest, because I don't think there's a good way to... Well, I guess you can do the vanilla way.
If you have both the mirror and the hammer, and you can beat Trinex, then there's the option of beating Trinex and then Discord's having issues again, isn't it?
Ah, okay. That explains it.
Yeah, I thought it was me.
Yeah, okay. So, yes. Do you have anything else to share on the seed?
I don't know. Like, my routing just didn't work out this seed. I'm not sure if it's just, this seed or if I'm approaching the logic wrong. But it seemed like a lot was in the dungeons this seed, and I'm not really used to that anymore.
From what I've seen, both of your routings were absolutely fine. What really hurt you in this seed was the fact that you ended up not going into Desert Palace. You didn't get your sword, you double dipped Thieves Town. And Jem had that one big advantage that he went to Thieves Town and was able to clear it immediately.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that hurts, because doing the front four and then saving quitting and coming back later, it's not that bad if you still have stuff to do in the area later. But yeah, it never really helps. It does add up.
Yep. Alright. Anything else before I do the outro?
No, not really. Just GG's, Jem, and hope to get another good race tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yep. Do not forget to tune in for, and I am frantically trying to open the tab. Any moment now. yes, it is not scheduled which channel yet, but it is exactly at the same time tomorrow, match 3 for these two guys. Let's see what we have going on currently on different speed gaming channels. We should have the Ozipome versus Futon race still going on Speed Gaming 1 currently in the very same tournament. They are currently 0-0. So if you want more Overworld Glitches content, that's where I recommend you go. Yeah, I don't see any more rando content, but there is Celeste going on currently on Speed Gaming 4 and Luigi's Mansion on Speed Gaming 3. Alright, so with that, I'd like to thank my tracker, or our tracker, sorry, that came out weird. Our tracker here, Demon's Druid, who kept me honest during this seed, and I'd like to thank you very much for picking up items, because I'm fairly sure I missed a few. I'd like to thank our racers Eriror and Gemini. Don't forget to follow all these people. And I was Bayame on commentary. Thank you very much.